welcome to the Scouse Scientist podcast with me, Holly Ellis, the Scouse Scientist. This first series is called But You Don't Look Like a Scientist, and I've got some amazing guest lines up who are in a range of STEM careers but don't necessarily fit into the stereotypical mould. My guest today is the amazing Krystina Pearson-Rampeearee. And Krystina is a multi-award winning chartered engineer and STEM ambassador who works as an engineering delivery lead and early careers lead at BAE Systems. She creates content on social media and owns her own small business, Aviate Her. She studied aerospace systems engineering at the University of the West of England and became the first engineer in her family. She's really passionate about encouraging and inspiring more young people to consider STEM careers. So, hi Krystina, and thanks so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. You're literally the perfect guest to have on this podcast because of everything you represent. I literally had to get you on. So, for those who don't know you, could you just start off by telling us a little bit about you, your background, and I guess how you got into your career?
Yeah, of course. So, as you mentioned, my name's Krystina. I'm an aerospace engineer, and basically going back to how that all started. So in school, I really enjoyed subjects like science and maths, but also arts as well, like creative subjects. So I was leaning towards engineering anyway, because of liking to solve problems, which is what engineers do. And then I went to an air show with my family when I was younger, saw these planes flying around, like the Red Arrows and other kind of planes. And I was like, that's really cool. How do I get into that? Started doing my own research, and aerospace engineering came up. So I thought, okay, I'll do this. This sounds amazing. Did that, went to uni, was one of two women on my course. So that was my first introduction, I guess, to the disparity in engineering.
Yeah.
And then, went on to get my degree, had like obstacles on the way. So initially, I didn't get the grades I wanted at A levels. I didn't do as well as I wanted. I didn't get into my first choice of uni. Coming out of uni, I kind of struggled initially to find a job because I hadn't done any kind of work experience as well. So there's a lot of obstacles to overcome on the way, but got there, persevered, and now I've spent kind of over 12 years in the aerospace industry, and as you mentioned, currently working as an engineering delivery lead. So it's been a long journey, but I've managed to kind of get where I want to be.
That's amazing, and it's so inspiring for other young people who are, maybe on results they didn't get their grades, that it's not the end. There's more to it, and you can still achieve, whatever it is that you want to do.
Definitely, I'd say definitely, like, your grades do not define you. There is a way of getting to it, especially now, like there's alternative routes that you can take that are now more spoken about. Like an apprenticeship when I was younger wasn't spoken about when I came out of school. It was automatically you go to university, but now there's so many options of getting into a career that you want. So it's definitely more visible, which is great to see.
So you said before that you were one of two women on the course. So I always talk about the stereotypes associated with careers in STEM and that sort of thing. And, I face, a lot of stereotypes in that you don't look like a typical scientist. So have you experienced any of that at all? And how did you overcome those barriers?
Yeah, so obviously, as I mentioned, one of two women on my course, which was my first introduction to that gender disparity. But and throughout my career, when I talk to people, tell them what I do. So they might ask, "Oh, what is it that you do?" And I say, "I'm an engineer." It's like, "You don't look like an engineer." So it's been something that's kind of been prevalent through my career, really. So I guess one of the ways that I've tried to address that is by starting my small business, Aviate Her. So I got a bit frustrated with being told that I don't look like an engineer, much like you've mentioned about with the scientists as well. So I created a pin badge that says, "This is what an engineer looks like." And I guess my small business kind of went from there, really. I didn't expect it to, this was 5 years ago, and I didn't expect to still be doing it today, but I released those on Etsy, and then they sold out in 48 hours, and people started messaging me. I'm a scientist. Can you do one for me? I'm a pilot. So, people in these careers where there is a similar gender disparity reached out to me, and yeah, I started kind of adapting them for those careers, and yeah, been going for 5 years now, which I
I
didn't expect to be
absolutely love
doing.
that. Yeah, I think it's amazing. And it's about, getting rid of these stereotypes of what
Mm,
people have in their heads of what an engineer looks like, what a scientist looks like, and actually showing it doesn't matter what you look like. This is what an engineer looks like, or this, you can look like anything. It doesn't
exactly.
matter. It doesn't make a difference. So yeah, I
Mm,
absolutely love that.
mm.
So could you just tell us a bit about what an aerospace engineer actually does, like in simple terms? Because I'll be honest, I haven't really got a clue, so I'd like to
Yeah.
know myself.
So an aerospace engineer, going back to basics, is basically involved with the design, the development, the testing of different elements that make up a machine that flies. So it doesn't have to be an airplane. It can be a helicopter, a satellite, a drone, a rocket. So it can be anything that flies in the atmosphere, really. And basically can be involved in, like I said, the design and development of the different parts that make up that machine. So I've been involved in lots of different equipment, but basically an aircraft is made up of lots of different systems that all work together, a bit like the human body, like the organs that all work together to help the aircraft function, so and function safely. So I've been involved in kind of working on different parts or different bits of equipment that make up the systems that help the airplane fly. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, no, definitely. That definitely helps. And I think it's just so interesting because, I always say if you can see it, you can be it. And I think it's good that you're out there showing young people that this is a career, because probably a lot of them have never really considered that as a career, or ever really understood what that means to be an engineer.
I think that's the thing with engineering. There's a lot of lack of understanding of what it actually means. And it
Yeah.
basically, engineers solve problems at the end of the day. And engineering, I didn't even realize, like I mentioned, I didn't know about aerospace engineering until I started researching like what careers can I have in aviation, and aerospace engineering is one of them. But engineering, there's so many different sectors in engineering. So software, chemical, fashion, aerospace, electrical, so many different sectors in engineering, because there's lots of different problems that need solving. And that's what engineers do. So yeah, engineering, there's a lot of different possibilities. And as well, if you do choose one kind of sector, so I've chosen aerospace, it doesn't mean you can't move to another sector as well, because you've got those transferable skills that you've gained, and kind of, the really important softer skills as well, like communication, teamwork, things like that can be taken to another job. So there's a lot of opportunity.
Yeah, so engineering is part of everything really, isn't it? No
Mhm.
matter what
Yeah,
it is you're interested in, actually, you'll probably look into it and find engineering is forming some part of that somewhere along the way, isn't it?
definitely. Everyday things we use, our phones, I've got makeup here, that's been engineered, the chemical engineering. So yeah, everything has been engineered.
Amazing. So after you did all this and you've got your career, you also have got, so you've got your career, you've got your business, and you've also got your social media platform as well. So why did you start that? What's the message behind it?
Yeah, so I think I basically started because I realized social media, there are downsides to it, but it's a really good tool for reaching people. And as part of the STEM work that I do, going into schools, speaking and speaking to young people, social media is another way of doing that. And it's basically, as well, it's a bit like your search engine nowadays. If you want to find out about something, you just search on TikTok or Instagram to try and find out a bit more about it. So it's a really good way of reaching people that I might not necessarily reach through the in-person stuff that I do. So creating videos about engineering, what aerospace engineering is, and things like that. It's trying to reach young people. And not only that, as well, parents, because a lot of my parents didn't understand what engineering was and didn't want me to do it, because they were like, oh, that sounds like a really messy job. Like, what are you going to do like from that? When in reality, I'm in an office because I choose to work in an office. But yeah, it's a good way of reaching people. So, young people and adults alike. It's a great tool for doing that.
That's it, exactly. And it's the same as me. You know, you go to a school, you might speak to 50, 100 kids. You
Hmm.
could put one video online and reach millions in a second,
Definitely.
couldn't you?
Yeah.
So it's such a powerful tool, despite the negatives as well. But, you know, we can use it in so many positive ways. And that's really a benefit of social media now. And all kids are obsessed, including me, are obsessed with the phones anyway. So how better way to reach them? So
Definitely.
as well as all that, I've just said you've got your business, you've got your career, you've got your social media and outreach work, and you've also got two young kids as well, which I have to mention because I think being a mum just adds an extra layer of like fun, but also stress at the same time. So
Yeah.
I get asked this all the time. So I want to ask you, like, how do you juggle everything and balance it all? And what do you do to, you know, make sure you don't get stressed and overworked and everything? How do you do that?
Yeah, I guess part of my engineering kind of skills is being really organized, which really helps with all of it really, yeah.
Mm.
So I make sure that, I stay on top of the day job, organized in work. I've got my to-do list that I, do every day. And then also I've got my Google Calendar, which needs to be up to date with everything that I'm doing so I can see in advance if I've got time or not to do things. And then just like planning out things like social media and things like that. All of it needs to be planned. And when I get time to do it, then I do. But sometimes priority is spending time with the kids because that is my main priority as well. So it's balancing everything. If I can record stuff in bulk and then just kind of put that out when I can, then that's great. But yeah, it is maintaining that balance. And I think for me, it's making sure that I prioritize the things that bring me joy as well. So like spending time with my family, that's probably the most important thing to me. So making sure that I'm not kind of doing too much of work or too much of social media or business, things like that, and making sure that the most important things I am making time for.
Exactly. And it's just remembering that, remembering what's the most important and not getting, you know, all of this, because I'm in a similar position. What we're trying to do is help others and also we enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want it to get to that point where actually it becomes another stress, just a stress, and
Yeah,
if it becomes unenjoyable, then there's no point
exactly.
really, is there?
Definitely. There's the reward and the enjoyment of doing it, and you don't want to feel, um, you don't, when you're doing that stuff, you don't want to feel kind of frustrated about doing it. You want to enjoy it, especially when, working with young people and you want to show that you do enjoy kind of doing engineering or science and things like that. You don't want to show that, you know, you're not enjoying doing it because that just will put people off as well. So it's being authentic, isn't it, at the end of the day?
Yeah, exactly. And just being yourself online and
Mm.
being honest as well when
Yeah.
things are getting a bit much and if you need to take a little break from social media, obviously, then
So,
that's fine.
mhm.
So what's next for you? You're doing all these crazy things. Have you got anything exciting lined up or anything planned for the next few months?
So I had a little break with the summer holidays on some content. So planning to kind of get some more content out soon. I've got some talks that I'm excited about coming up in the next month. And then it'll be kind of half term, so spending time with the family as well, making plans. And then it'll be the run up to Christmas. So getting my business kind of prepared for that because a lot of people do buy the badges as small gifts. So like stocking fillers. So yeah, that'll be kind of ramping up towards Christmas and then a break then.
Yeah, a break at some point. So what piece of advice would you give to any young listeners who want to follow in your footsteps, either, you know, with aerospace engineering or other types of engineering?
So I think something that I would have found really useful when I was early on in my career and even before then, and obviously I've had obstacles that I've overcome by doing this, but just being open to like opportunities, speaking to people, if you're interested in some a specific career, speaking to people in the industry, going to events related to it, finding out more, and because that just shows that you're being proactive as well. And I think that's something that I didn't really do when I was young. I didn't really network a lot and make those contacts. So stuff like that is really important, and will really help your career as well. So definitely, like, reach out. Don't be afraid to reach out to people and speak to people and get involved with things, because it will really help. And the only way you're going to find out if you like something is by kind of getting involved and trying things out. So just go for it.
Yeah, great. And you're a really good example of, you said at the start that you were interested in the arts and all that side of thing. And I think you're a really good example of someone who is not just doing one thing, you're doing multiple things, and you're letting all of those different parts of you like come out. So I think sometimes young people think, well, I don't want to be just stuck doing engineering all day or science all day in a lab, and what about my creative side, and what about this? But there's actually opportunities to do lots of things with engineering. Obviously, you're doing public speaking and engagement, and then your business, which is obviously very designy and arty. So I think, do you think it's about, not saying to young people that they have to be in a box? You can actually do loads of different things.
Definitely. And I found actually throughout my career, a lot of engineers do a lot of different things. A lot of us don't just do engineering. There's a lot of things and loads of different things. It could be dance, it could be like, running a small business, lots of different things. So we have a lot of creative people in the industry. And I think, engineering is some problems because we need to find creative solutions to problems. So a lot of engineers are creative, and it might be the same with science as well.
Yeah,
The arts, it's not just STEM, it's STEAM. So the arts are really integral to that, and
yeah,
creative thinking. So definitely don't feel pigeonholed into a specific area, because people have lots of different facets to them, and it's the opportunities to explore those different areas of yourself.
yeah. Brilliant. Okay, so I could literally talk to you forever. And I love the fact as well, we've got another Scouser on the
Yeah,
podcast, so that just makes it even better for me.
me
So
too.
honestly, Krystina, thanks so much for joining me today. You've achieved loads, and I think you're a really good role model for young people out there. So I think your story will be really inspiring. So thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.